Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with KeKe, where we have real conversations about life, love, and mindset. Today, I'm joined by someone whose story is the definition of reinvention. But you guys know how I like to do. I like to give my guests the opportunity to tell you who they are. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her, and she's going to introduce herself to you guys. So, Katarina, thank you for coming to Kick It with me today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And hello, everyone. So you'd like me to introduce myself,
Yes,
correct?
go ahead and tell the people what you
Where
want them
do,
to know about you.
sure. Oh my gosh, where do I start? I've been around for 5 decades. My name is Katarina Van Derham, and I was born and raised in Slovakia in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. In 1998, I came to the United States, directly to California. And I slowly made my way to a better place, I would say, because I started, cleaning homes in California, passing out flyers, selling ice cream, done all those jobs that, you need to survive. And slowly I got into the entertainment industry where I always worked on both sides. I was always very interested in behind the camera and in front of the camera. And by now, I feel like I've gained pretty good experience and set of tools to do whatever I want in the next 5 decades to do. So I'm in a good place, and it took me a long time to get where I am, and I have a lot to share with everyone.
Hey, so well, thank you for being here. I'm super excited. So we're going to move into the mindset moment portion of the podcast. You left everything familiar behind to begin a new life in America. Looking back, what mindset helped you believe that your future could be bigger than your circumstances?
It's a good question, and the truth is, I never envisioned like a bigger future for myself. Honestly, the reason why I left, because I had a pretty good life back home. I was always very active child, always involved in any opportunities that were around me. But the reason why I came to America was more out of curiosity.
Mm.
We watched so many movies, TV shows, music videos growing up, the MTV generation. And you see people and the styles and fashion and everything is very different than what I saw around me because I'm from like a country where everybody almost looks like me or a little bit, a modified version. And I was very, very curious and interested in people, the American culture. I wanted to see for myself if it's really true what I see on TV, in movies and music videos, if life is like that here, the good and the bad. So to me, I didn't envision any big future. I honestly thought I'm gonna come here, probably save up some money, within a couple of years go back and open up a hair salon. Now that didn't happen because once I got here, the reality was a little bit different. But to answer your question directly, I got that bigger mindset once I was actually in America. I didn't have it back home. I just got it once I was here and I talked to people, and actually people around me, American people, believed in me and saw some kind of a potential, which I had no idea at first what they're talking about. And thank God to them, I was able to start thinking bigger and start thinking, oh, wow, maybe I could also become one of the successful ones, like, all that stuff. So that was that.
Okay. I love that. And sometimes it does take people to see something in us that we don't see in ourselves for us to believe, okay, so if they see it, why can't I see it? So let's just try it and see what happens.
Exactly. And I while I always loved my country and my family and people around me, unfortunately, the culture and mentality in the 70s, 80s was and still is today, unfortunately, in many places, not very uplifting. So people just put you down lots of times, and if you start to believe in yourself, they like to shut it down right away. Like, what do you think? Like, America's waiting for you, they have millions of you, why would you go there? And any idea you might have, or like dream, they can squash it real quickly. And if you are surrounded by these people and you're in this environment, it's almost impossible to think bigger unless you learn to shelter it somehow. But my generation and people back then, like they couldn't. That's why there's not so many Slovaks here, I guess.
Yeah, it happens everywhere. Like, I don't know if it's because they're afraid to follow their dreams and they want to keep you stuck in that same scarcity mentality, or who knows? It happens all the time. What did you have to believe about yourself before anyone else believed in you?
That I have something, I don't want to say useful, because in my case it wasn't so much useful, but that I have something that people are interested in.
Hmm.
And I think that was where it started, like seeing people, oh, like you could do this and that. And then once I started to do those things, realizing, oh my gosh, there's actually, let's call it the demand
Hmm.
for me, not just because of the looks, but also my personality all of a sudden and all that stuff. So I think that was like the main thing. I have something because, again, going back home, I've been told my whole life, like, they have millions of you, like, you're not anything special, like, you're too short, you're too fat, like, you look too fake. And, I've heard that all pretty much,
Hmm.
right? So all of a sudden, realizing that, these people are probably right. Once I came here, maybe I have something and I try that, it worked. So I think that was the main thing, to realize I have something others might be interested in.
Well, that, and I'm glad that you say that because somebody that's listening needed to hear that. I have something that others may be interested in. And that's
Yeah.
a great mindset to have because you never know what you do, the gifts that are inside of you could be something that helps somebody else grow into their fullest potential. So thank you for sharing that.
No, you're welcome. And like we have to go back, like right now it's different because I'm older, but like if we go back, I was 21, 22. So you don't have life experiences that you can offer to anyone, right? And all that stuff. So what is it really like at 21, 22 that people might be interested in, So that was kind of, for me at that age, was a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So our podcast centers around life, love, and mindset. How have those three areas influenced one another throughout your journey?
It's life, right? To me, if you want to know like the breakthrough, really, again, like it happened when I came to America. It was 2008 when I was introduced to the movie The Secret. And that was very, very breakthrough for me. It changed my life completely. Because, that changed my mindset. And once you change your mindset, it affects absolutely everything, right? From work, relationships, love, business, everything. So the mindset is absolute key, and it's crucial to have wired the right way if you want to manifest and attract things in life, that you truly want. So like everybody should really, I think, check within themselves, like, what are my thinking processes every day? What am I thinking of? What am I focusing on? What am I feeding my mind with,
Mhm.
and all that stuff? Because mindset is everything. And I feel like uh, it's becoming a little bit more difficult now, even though you would think should be easier because we have all the social media and stuff. But the internet or social media are becoming so confusing because they
Yeah.
contradict themselves, right? One day this is good, tomorrow somebody says it's toxic and
Yeah.
stuff. So back then, at least, you had some kind of a guide, right? For me, it was The Secret movie. I didn't care about the book because I'm very visual, so I like to see movies. Uh,
Hmm.
so that was my guide, and there was nothing contradicting it. There was nothing to try to convince me that it doesn't work. I just had to try it, see if it works, and it did. But now, all these relationships advices and everything we saw, right? It's just like
Right.
crazy. I'm like, how do people navigate? Like, especially the younger people, how do they navigate this noise? Like, I don't know. Thank God I changed my mindset, like, around the 2008. So I'm just going with that. Like, I don't care whatever anyone says.
Yes, I love that. We have to have our mindset of our own and stop allowing ourselves to be influenced by social media. And I'm glad that you say that 1 minute is good, the next minute is toxic, because that is just the reality of social media.
Mhm.
It may work one day and it may not work the next day. What are you gonna do then?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have that
And the more
mindset
people
of
you
yourself.
listen to, right, the more different opinions, it just gets so confusing because now you don't know, what to pull, and it's just really difficult.
Right. So that's a good segue into our reality check segment. You have successfully transitioned from entertainment to entrepreneurship. What was the hardest identity shift you had to make during that process?
Because I went from being in front of the camera, and all of a sudden I had to go full time behind the camera. Um, and all of a sudden I had to, and this is a brutal truth, I had to rely pretty much solely on my knowledge and skills as a entrepreneur, which I didn't have that much, right, when I was transitioning at the beginning. Because just to clarify, so when I was in the entertainment, lots of it was based on the looks, and I was young, and I got lots of jobs and opportunities because you're in LA, you're young and you're exotic and all that stuff. But all of a
Mhm.
sudden, I'm shifting to being an entrepreneur, and you have to solely rely on your knowledge and the way you present yourself and the way you conduct business. I remember being in one of the first meetings with an advertiser, and this is a big hair care company, and I failed
Mhm.
miserably, and I knew I failed even though no one said that, because I'm very good at reading body languages, and
Mhm.
I have some kind of a intuitive sixth sense because I'm a Sagittarius. I guess we're good at that. And I
Mhm.
remember sitting in that meeting with the owner of the company and two other people, and he left within the first maybe 45 seconds.
Oh.
And I just knew, because he um, apologized because he got a call or something. And I knew he left because he knew right away this is not going to be a deal for him.
Mhm.
And it's just like I got that signal, and the nice ladies stayed there, obviously listened to my presentation and all that stuff. And um, we finished the meeting because that's what you do, right? You're polite and all that stuff. But the fact he walked away few seconds in, I just knew that was a sign, probably even in their internal language, this is a no,
Mhm.
this is a no. And that was a good lesson for me. And I realized how I have to really, really learn the business and
Yeah.
how to conduct these things and how to present myself and how to present my ideas. Because I came from the entertainment where I was like, hee hee, ha ha ha, because you show up at the casting on set and you have to be upbeat and you
Yeah.
have to be sweet and all that stuff. And I was very good at that. But all
Mhm.
of a sudden, you can't go to a meeting like that. It's quite the opposite. You have to have kind of straight face, be still nice, but like, it was just very unnatural for me.
Right.
Uh, and that's when I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just have so much to learn, and looks are, you have to look presentable, like, but they don't matter at all.
Right.
So that was to me like a aha moment, I guess.
I love that though. I love that, and I'm glad that you say that because sometimes you have to know what's going on besides looking the part, because everybody can look the part.
Yeah,
You do your research on who you're meeting with, you figure out what they look for as far as like appearance wise, but like you said, you had to be knowledgeable, and
yeah,
that takes you far farther for that I've experienced than the way you look.
very true,
Hmm.
very true.
And so many people dream of reinventing themselves, but fear starting over, right? What fears did you have to overcome in order to build your brand and later your magazine?
You know, m- many people fear to start over. To me, it's a blessing
Hmm.
because you have a chance to start over. You
Right.
know, some people don't get that chance, but you have a chance. You can wake up and start over. And honestly, I love beginnings. I love mornings. I'm not a evening person. Like I much rather have breakfast with someone than a dinner. Um, so to me, beginnings and sunrises and all that stuff, just that what resonates with me. I hated death. Like I still have a hard time accepting that people have to die, animals have to die, and just everything has beginning and the end. That's
Right.
the only thing I can still grasp and be okay with that. So to me, naturally, I like beginning. So I'm always eager to start anything. And I'm not afraid. Like I have an idea. Okay, let's do it. I have no problem. But I know many people do because they fear many things. And this goes back to depending on your location also, right? Like to me, because I'm in LA, it's very easy to start because there's always new opportunities, new people coming in town, and the environment is very friendly for that. But if I go back to my country, it's very difficult to start over because the way even to start a business is it's so much more difficult than let's say here in LA. Here you go online, start an LLC, and it's like
Hmm.
easy peasy. You just pay the money and you get the registration number and stuff. But back there is like a whole another game. So again, it just like depending on where you are in
Hmm.
life and also location, I think has a lot to do. So I don't blame people, or not that I would blame, but like I'm not surprised that some people find it difficult start over because again, it's much easier probably for me than for someone who's somewhere else. But my advice, like, if you gonna start over, you need to see what is it that you look forward to with
Hmm.
starting over. Like what is it that's there on the other side that you really want? What is it that your goal is? And if it's strong enough, then it will be much easier. It will be, and that means like everything from relationships, business, anything. Even if you go through the worst breakup, and you have to start over at any age, knowing that life is full of possibilities and every day is a new day. And every day we have the power to attract, manifest, go for things, no matter what age. And the more you're interested in learning about other people's stories, the more confident you become at starting over because I am so interested in people, and that's my journalistic mind too, that comes handy. I see people starting over at 80, falling in love at 80,
Hmm.
immigrating at 80. I mean, I've heard so many stories throughout my life where I was like, really, they got divorced after 40 years, and he just started over like at 75, and they are happier than ever. So the more we're interested in other people's stories and them starting over and reinventing themselves, I think the more we'll understand the possibilities. And when you are aware of the possibilities we all have every day, it's going to be like, all right, let's see what happens. It's going to be much easier. I think when we live in that fear, like, oh, I'm old, nobody will want me now, or like all these self-sabotaging thoughts, it
Hmm.
never served anyone. It just took you down the rabbit hole. So we just have to listen and educate ourselves and be interested in other people's stories and see, wow, there's so many possibilities. Anything is possible, and
Hmm.
see that somebody actually met the true love or the love of their life later in life, and you're like 35 and heartbroken, crying like, oh my gosh, like I'll never be in love again. I mean, it's kind of silly. But
Hmm.
again, you have to see this and learn that we have all these possibilities every single minute, not even a day, every minute. And knowing that, really truly understanding that it's really the truth, should make that reinvention much easier for everyone.
I love that. And that's another great segue into our third segment, which is the action step. I love the alignment, how everything is just
Oh,
flowing. So
good.
thank you for
Of
that.
course, thank you.
Yes, for someone listening today who feels stuck between where they are and who they want to become, what's one practical step they can take this week?
This week,
Hmm.
not even this week, just now, like literally now, like why plan anything? Because it's just make it very clear to universe, God, whatever it is that you believe in, make very clear who you want to be. And many people say you need to literally rewrite your story. If you envision a life for yourself that's different, or you becoming someone else, doesn't matter. Literally take a piece of paper or journal, whatever you have, and write your story like if you were creating a fiction, and write your story how it is, not how it's going to be,
Hmm.
but how it's already happening. I am so and so. I live there and there, whatever. So it has to be present tense. And if you, with your hand, not typing, just with
Hmm.
pen that you're holding, with your energy, with your hand, and you putting those thoughts from your mind and visualize them and putting them through your body cells, translating into that piece of paper, write your new story, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, and sit on it, read it, feel it, and become that. And you will become that if you put your mind into it at ease, not like, oh, I don't know, it sounds weird, like this sounds too crazy or anything like that. No, just, I guess this is where fantasy comes in a place. And
Hmm.
I'm sad to see, on another note, that that's being kind of removed from our world, but fantasy is very good and trains us to believe in magic, makes us believe in impossible. And I think that is so important we don't lose it as humans, because
Hmm.
that will allow us to think of what seems impossible with the logic, let's say, or what other
Hmm.
people are telling us. And that's exactly that fantasy will take us to where we need to go. And I would start there. Just write your own story, who you are, um, not who you will be, but who you are already, and keep it close, see it, put it next to your bed, read it over and over, and digest it, like make it go through your body, your cells. When you drink water, as you're swallowing that water, just in, like, feel it's you already. Anything that helps physically to speed it up. Gosh, I just got chills. That means
Hmm.
it's really true.
Hmm.
um just live it already, live it like you are, and it will happen, because brain and universe, God, doesn't recognize if it's a fantasy or if it's just a thought, if it's a reality. But if you say you are that, you will become that. You just have to trust it and stick with it for as long as you have to. And that time, we never know when it happens, right? So you just have to be patient and know that things take time. And
Right.
just because, for example, I want to be a pop star, and okay, 10 years went by and nothing, don't give it up. Keep going. If that's really what you want, just keep going, because the world keeps changing so much. And look, now we're in the era where everybody can be a pop star, because we have all
Hmm.
these apps and all kinds of stuff to write music, and it's not like back in the day it was really difficult. So you
Right.
never know how things are going to change within next few years, and the possibility or opportunity which doesn't exist now will all of a sudden show up, because the world keeps moving forward. So I've had dreams that happen like 15 years later, and
Hmm.
20 years later. So you just never need to put any obstacles there, thinking like, well, if I'm already too old, and if it hasn't happened by now, like it's not gonna happen. No, no, just keep going. The world's like, now even women in their 50s is like the new 30s, and
Right.
starting businesses back in the day, if if women stop dreaming, like this would never happen.
Right.
And, they're 50, they would be done, right?
Mhm.
Now, women are starting over. They're building businesses in their 50s. They're becoming millionaires in their 50s. And
Mhm.
it's all because some women kept holding on to that vision and kept that fantasy alive. And we all have to do it, because even if we don't see the opportunity now, you
Mhm.
can be in Louisiana, you can be in Slovakia, doesn't matter. You are in your home where you feel trapped. Go into your own fantasy world, your own bubble, and dream there, write it there, and live in it as much as you can. And an opportunity will show up at the right time and will get you out of there.
I believe it. I do believe it. You said that you got chills, but I didn't show you. I was like, ooh, that was good. I love it. And I love how you talk about the writing part because it matters to write versus type something out. It's an extension
100%.
of writing is an extension of your brain. So that matters. So anyone who is listening, if you have something that you want to get out, write it down. Write it down.
Yes. And what I even do is when I start writing, I take the pen, and it's usually like a special pen that somebody gave me as a gift, or, like whatever, but it doesn't have to be. And I
Mhm.
always try to connect with the pen first. Like I just take a moment to look at the pen, acknowledge the beauty of the design, give it some positive thoughts and love, basically, because somebody designed this, right?
Yeah.
There was a process to create this pen, and we just
Mhm.
take it for granted, like everything is so automatic these days because we grab things and we don't think somebody actually thought about how to make this scrunchy, like what material to choose and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
um I do think it's very important that we spend a little time, and then the pen kind of connects with us even more,
Mm.
and that's the energy will flow even better.
Oh, never thought about doing that before. And I love pens. It's like I have to get a certain pen that writes a certain way. I'm gonna start doing that. Thank you for that.
Of course. And I realized that because my dad is like a pen collector. Like, I don't know
My
why.
dad too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What is it? Maybe that was the era of something. I don't know. But my dad always just any pen. And I saw growing up his love for pens, like just a random thing, right? But it made me, I guess, naturally like really think about pens a little bit more.
Hmm.
And I realized how everything is energy, like later in life when I, had my breakthrough in 2008 with the movie, the movie The Secret. Just everything is energy, even the water, the intention we put into it, that's how it's going to either hydrate us or dehydrate us when we drink it.
Hmm.
The brush, when we take it and brush our hair, the intention we put into it, it's either going to, I don't want to say break our hair, but like over time might be dull or whatever, or it's gonna give it love. And I tried this specific case a couple of years ago because my hair couldn't get longer because it's so damaged and over processed. But I literally went through about a year of me intentionally brushing my hair so gently and giving it love and kind of like almost being so present and talking to it,
Hmm.
that at some point I realized my hair's gotten so much longer. And I'm
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, it happened like without me realizing, because you always see yourself and you don't see those inch two when it gets longer.
Right.
But my hair did get much longer naturally. Then I stopped doing it and my hair is back to where it was before. So the
Mm.
intentions, everything, just put intentions, positive intentions in everything, and it will come back to us like a boomerang, right?
I believe that everything has intention and energy is transferable, whether it's negative or positive. So, what do you want to get back in the world? That's what
Yes,
you put out.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's why, you probably feel the same way. Like, I don't understand all that hate on social media. Like every
Yeah.
time I see these super hateful comments um towards people, like I'm like, do they realize what they're causing to themselves?
Yeah.
People, this is going to come back to them, their children. It's just so dangerous to be so abusive, you could say, online,
Right.
or even in real life, but you don't see it much in real life. You see it mostly online, right? So
Right.
and you can tell that they put so much intention into that hate, right? Because they're so passionate about that hateful comment they write. So the
Hmm.
more that negative intention you put into it, it's like, wow, I'm like, good luck to you in life, because that's not gonna go well later on, so.
Right. Not at all. It goes back to what you put out in the world is what you get back to yourself. It's
And
like you
your
said, a
children.
boomerang. Hmm.
Yes, and your children and people around you. It's not just because we are an extension of some cells from
Hmm.
our parents, and let's say if we have children, they have our cells. So everything is on a cellular frequency, right? So everything that's going through us goes to them, and it's just really, really dangerous if you are so negative and hateful. uh,
Right.
People gonna suffer.
Right. So we're going to move into our spotlight. So we're going to talk about you and your business. And thank you for being so transparent and honest and open with the listeners today. I do appreciate you coming to be here. Tell us about KVD Brand and what makes it different.
Well, KVD brand is my, you could say, baby, because it is my first company. I have three companies now, but it's my first one. And that's the baby that got beat up. That's the baby that I learned pretty much everything on. I've gone through ups and downs with it. We survived the COVID, the lawsuits, and all kinds of stuff. And KVD brand is an umbrella for VIVA GLAM magazine and several lifestyle websites. So it's a pretty much publishing house. And I got a little bit discouraged at some point doing what I'm doing, just because there's things out of your hand, right? Sometimes. And what I mean is Google. You depend on Google. Like the digital media heavily depends on Google's terms and conditions and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And because Google likes to play God, and Google likes to play, a monopoly, and they own the internet, even though they don't.
Hmm.
Um, whatever they decide to do, it really affects your business, and sometimes there's not much you can do to fix it. And what I mean in particular, I started Viva Glam magazine because I wanted to give a spotlight to sustainability, vegan companies, vegan beauty products, interesting people, and musicians, and make it like a publication that celebrates glamour, but in an ethical way. We don't promote anything that harms animals, and try to be as eco-friendly as possible. We know that thing doesn't exist like 100%, but like whatever we can do, we do. And when you start writing as a true journalist and from your heart, and you want to highlight companies that you find should have the spotlight, Google might not agree with that, because
Hmm.
Google wants you to write about something that's trending. This is
Right.
trending. This is the keyword. This is what you need to write about. I'm like, I don't want to write about Taylor Swift. I mean, good for her. I love her, all that stuff, but I don't care for my
Right.
publication. My publication is about completely something else. So then you write about someone who is unknown because you want to pull them with you, right? You want to give them that spotlight, and it's not doing anything for your business when it comes to like any profit, traffic, or anything. So it was very, very it was a difficult battle for years because of this. And I also don't want to write articles based on SEO, search engine optimization, because Google decides you have to structure your articles this way, and you have to use this amount of photos, and that's it. I'm like, no, I want to write like a poet, let's say, right? I want to
Hmm.
start once upon a time, for example,
Hmm.
and I want to tell the story my way. But no, your keyword needs to be moved up to the first sentence in the first paragraph because, it does, and all these silly rules. So Viva Glam never got to be the profitable business you would hope to be because I never, Google basically never gave us that chance, you could say, right? But what's interesting and what's happening now, because it is my baby, I've always kept it and I've always worked on it. What's happening now because of the AI, AI is being used in a different way. And all of a sudden, Google wants you to write unique articles. All of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, it's not so much about keywords anymore.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, you need to have credibility as a source online because the only way the AI search engines are learning now from the internet is through text. AI can watch videos and can listen to audio, right?
Right.
So the only way, because the future is in the AI search, like this, the whole Google and everything, we see it already now. You go to Google, type up something, and you get an AI overview or Gemini answer from Google's AI.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all of a sudden, they want you to write stuff that gives you credibility and it's unique because AI needs to learn from these sources. And I noticed like AI actually has been using Viva Glam quite a lot as a source for information. And I'm like, oh, here we go. You never know how things gonna change.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just fight hard and stay alive, then you might see your glory days. And that's what happened. Like I never gave up on Viva Glam because it was always my baby. It's my passion. I didn't sell it. I didn't close it. It had better moments. It had, moments where I had to borrow money and all that stuff. But we're actually now getting to a very good place because of the AI. So I am interested in revamping the whole site, which I'm already working on. And I'm actually working on a docu-series pitch, which would include Viva Glam magazine.
Okay.
And that's what's in the development. And I wouldn't be surprised if Viva Glam became actually what it deserves to be eventually. So I'm just fighting for it, and finally things are changing enough to where your original voice and content is starting to be rewarded.
That right there makes me smile because I have my own magazine as well. So I
Oh,
started a magazine 2 years ago, and it is hard to get out there and people to take a chance in reading it and being a part of it. So that is an inspiration to know to keep going. So thank you for that. And thank you for sharing about Viva Glam because that was going to be my next question. But
good.
what's next for you, Katrina? What's next for you?
I do have other two businesses, and one is my house is a filming location here in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Right now I'm in the garage, but this is my workspace. I converted into like it's a great space for what I need to use it for. But the actual house is designed in very Victorian style, and it's a very popular location here in LA. Everyone who wants to shoot Bridgerton style photos or videos, campaigns, music videos, we all get those people here because I don't really have much competition when it comes to this decor. So that's also I love this business because it doesn't require much from me except keeping it clean, I guess, the house and making it available for people to use. The other
Right.
the other business I have is in Europe, and it's a makeup line which is vegan, cruelty-free makeup line, which I plan on bringing to the United States next year. So I'm already
Nice.
working on like setting up PR. It's already being used in Baywatch, on the show Baywatch or The Studio, like some of these shows in Hollywood to slowly get the name out. But with Viva Glam, because it's still my baby, as I said, I'm in the development phase of the docu-series, which is actually it's not about Viva Glam directly, but because I don't want to say too much. But
Hmm.
it is about Viva Glam also, which is the underlying, the bonding element of the docuseries. The docuseries is about the LA culture. And I thought that would be a great and unique idea to develop. So that's something I'm working on. I'm working on my cosmetic line and, the location. So trust me, I work like 18 hours a day, Monday through Sunday, and it's a lot, but because I'm not afraid to start over and reinvent myself every roughly 10 years. I keep adding stuff, right? I keep adding stuff. And honestly, everything I've learned, whether it was a graphic design, I was a makeup artist in LA for about 12 years. The
Hmm.
makeup, them being a talent on camera, like I've gained so much experience in like production. And even when I created the first print issue of Viva Glam, like I had no background or education in publishing, but the first issue was so beautiful and excellent and flawless, except few typos, of course. But the way we structured the magazine and visually and content-wise was so perfect that it was stolen from many places, honestly. Like, when we gave it to beauty spas and places like that, it's supposed to be there for other people to read. And, I got that feedback from all these places, like not all, but many places.
Hmm.
We just see customers kind of hiding
Just
it
take
in
it.
purse
Hmm.
and taking it because you could probably see the love and the difference in the content, because we're not owned by any Condé Nast, we're not owned by a big corporation where in their magazines you see the same ads, the same people, the same faces. I did it differently. I did it very independently based on the LA people you've never seen before, glamour, lots of glamour, presented by models who are unknown and who have great potential, to give them those opportunities to be featured in a magazine which is not men's magazine. Because back then it was like, you're a commercial model, you're a pretty face, you'll end up either in FHM or Playboy or something like that, because you're too short to be in Vogue and those magazines. So there was nothing in between. And when I came to LA and I got into the industry, I saw the majority of models are short and the majority of models are commercial models. They're not high fashion, and there's really no magazine for them. And when I talk to these models, when I work with them, they all wanted to model fashion, but there was no opportunity for them. So I
Right.
combine all that and the glamour, which I've always been a fan of. And I created Viva Glam, and it did very well at the beginning. It did very well, but then we hit some rough patches with the business, and it was, you know, very complicated for a few years. But here we are again, never
Yeah.
give up.
I love that. I love that. So I'm gonna ask this final question, and I always ask all my guests this question just to see how different the answers would be. When life challenges you and love stretches you, what mindset keeps you grounded?
When life challenges me and life stretches
Stretches.
me,
Hmm.
um, I think what keeps me grounded is the same thing as always. Even when I feel successful and I feel on top of the world, um, and I see myself on a billboard, or I'm completely crushed by losing someone or losing relationship, it's always the same thing. I still have it pretty good compared to other people. And I think, they say don't compare yourself, right? Ever. And I think sometimes we should compare ourselves to others. And it's in a positive way, because when you have a perspective of what other people go through and what they're experiencing, you realize that your life is still pretty good compared to those people. And that makes me feel a little better about the situation. And I know I can rebuild because I believe in those possibilities, as we talk about in the beginning of the interview. So um, knowing the possibilities are always there, knowing that no matter what's happening, it's not as bad. Like, for example, I lost my brother, and that was very, very traumatic experience for me, the way it happened, the things I had to do after and all that stuff.
Mm.
But seeing, how other people right now in Venezuela have to pull their loved ones from the rubble that are literally decomposing in their hands, or not even finding them at all, knowing that they're gonna be scooped by a bulldozer or whatever those, machines, and be dumped somewhere. Uh,
Right.
you know, there's always worse, or like seeing how people lose their children, the whole entire family in some car accident. I mean, there's always someone who has it much worse than you. And I think no matter what situation anybody is in, whether you're being abused by your spouse, or you have children, that a child that's handicapped or something, there's always someone who has it worse. And I think in these cases it's good to be aware of how the world works, and it's good to understand different parts of the world, and you realize there's always many people who have it much worse than you, and that should make you feel a little bit better and keep you grounded, and know that there's always new possibilities, and just go for them, take action, and believe in them first with your magic fantasy state of mind, and just do it. Every day is a different day. We always gonna have good days, bad days. Life is not fair.
Right.
And if people realize also, because they always go, oh, well, it's easy for her because, she was born rich. They like to do that a lot. But I'm like, why? Just realize life is not meant to be fair. It's just
Mm.
not. And I feel like we all live in some kind of a karma from our ancestors or people in before us and stuff like that. And it's just part of life. And if you accept the fact that life is not fair and it's not meant to be fair, then you kind of focus probably more on, okay, what is my fairness in this life, and what
Hmm.
was I given, the tools and the good I was given, and then you can work with that. So to me,
Absolutely.
yeah, to me it's more like that, I guess. And just stay grounded, knowing, the blessings are good and everything else is lessons.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Katarina, for being
Oh, thank
here.
you. Thank you,
Thank you
Kiki.
for kicking it with me. It has been amazing. Any final words or anything you want to leave the listeners with today? How can they connect with you? Where do you hang out on social media and all the things?
Well, I do hang out mainly on Instagram, which is KatarinaVanderham.com. Katarina Vanderham, just Katarina Vanderham. But what I would want to leave them with, it's, because you asked before, advice I would give them and stuff. And I like one advice I would like to give everyone who is maybe stuck, or maybe not even stuck, just like bored, or they don't know what's up and stuff. Check your environment. Look
Mm,
around yourself. Look at your place. You can be in the most humble, simple house, apartment, place with no walls, doesn't matter. Just look around yourself. What is it that you wake up into every day? And make sure that everything that's around you is everything you love. It can be few things, it can be glamour, doesn't matter, but make sure you are surrounded with things that you absolutely love. If you came to my house, it's not about the decor, it's about every single item I look at in my house is something I am connected to, I love, reminds me something positive. There's a zero, but literally zero things in my house that I don't love. Even the
mm,
the extension cord I have to buy is extension cord I'm happy with, looks good, it's in the right place, whatever. Everything I have makes me happy, brings me joy. Because when life gets hard outside, the inside your world, you have to feel protected almost by the beauty and things you love, and it will reflect back on you and make you feel better. So just check your environment, and you can do it now, everybody, wherever they are. Look around. If there's something you don't like, you don't care about, or drives you nuts, even worse, right? Like this pile of whatever, I freaking can't even look at it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it, and only keep things that you love when you look at them, and everything brings you joy. That's like the bottom starting point for everyone to feel better, to accomplish more, to to have clear mind, to be more open to possibilities, because the environment has so much to do with our thinking process, whether we get discouraged and all that stuff. So start with things, because I know people say, oh, materialistic world doesn't matter, but actually it does. And I think it's such a big lie. Materials, things all have energies. And
Yeah.
if there's energy, or you don't care, oh, I just need a table, I don't care, just whatever cheap, guess what?
Mhm.
You might attract cheap things in life, or you will think cheap in other areas, and that's not good. If you
Right.
buy a table, make sure it's the table you like. I like the craftsmanship, or I like the simplicity, whatever it is. But do not buy things that you don't care about, or you just, whatever, I picked it up somewhere. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be, again, expensive or anything. It just has to be something you feel connected to, appreciative, or it's your style. It's something that works for you. Because the more you have things that inspire you around you and give you that beautiful feeling, that's how your mind gonna keep spinning in that house. And it's, they say
Right.
it about the clutter, right? Like if you have cluttered space, your mind will be cluttered. So it's kind of similar to that. Everything is
Mhm.
energy. And start with looking around in your house, what you don't want, what you don't like, what drives you crazy. Oh, this color doesn't work here anymore, change it.
Change it. Absolutely. And you have the ability to change it. So thank you for that. That is amazing.
Thank
This
you.
has been an amazing episode, Katarina. Thank you for coming again. I appreciate you being here. Thank you to all of the listeners for listening to another episode of Kicking It With KeKe, Life, Love, and Mindset. We're back every Thursday at noon on all major streaming podcast platforms as well as YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, tell a friend, share it with a friend so that they can hear what Katarina had to say. She had a lot of great and amazing things to say. So if you know someone needs to hear what she said, go ahead and share this out to them. And until next time, make sure that you remember that your story has power, your story matters. So make sure that you are pouring into yourself in a positive way so that you can lead a positive life and have a positive mindset. So, purple hugs, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Later.
Thank you, Kiki.
You're welcome.